Welcome to Power Code Music. In this presentation, we're going to talk about the AKAI MPC One sampler and sequencer and why and how I use it. Since the late 1980s, hardware sequencers have been my primary composition tool for getting my musical ideas drafted and arranged. Roland Corporation introduced the first consumer external MIDI sequencer back in 1984 with its MSQ product line. My first hardware sequencer was the Yamaha QX7, and this was a 2-track sequencer that delivered decent performance for its time. When the Alesis MMT8 was released back in 1988, I quickly switched, and it became my main composition tool for decades after that. For more information on the Alesis MMT8, the sequencer I used for so long, watch my presentation, Alesis MMT8 multi-track MIDI recorder and why I use it, on this channel. When my composition workflow began to suffer recently, I needed to make a change to add more power, features, and performance while simplifying that process. That's when I decided to switch to the AKAI MPC One. Now, MPC stands for Music Production Center. Now, in essence, the AKAI MPC One is a cousin of and a more powerful evolution of the Alesis MMT8. Both AKAI and Alesis are owned by parent company In Music. MPC One is what I always wanted the Alesis MMT8 to become. Instead, Alesis discontinued that unit. One of the primary reasons why I use the MPC One is because it allows me to use virtually the same workflow to compose and arrange music as the MMT8 did. However, with far more power and functionality. MPC One allows users to compose and record separate parts of a composition individually as sections. You can then combine those sections into a chosen order to create a song. This is a perspective and mentality that's a preference for many, as some folks don't like to record their music that way because it's not how they work best. However, this is how I'm most productive. It also allows me to create many versions of any song section and then swap them out in my overall song quickly and easily to change an arrangement. Once I have my song parts or sequences recorded, as they're called on the MPC One, I can then arrange and rearrange the song any way I see fit. I can even create several versions of the same song quickly and easily. MPC One also allows users to create their songs, or should I say record their songs, all at once in one pass and punch in and out on tracks as well, like many other folks are used to. So you kind of, in essence, have the best of both worlds. I primarily use the MPC One as a super sequencer and sampler, although this only scratches the surface of what this unit can really do. Let's take a look at some of the AKAI MPC One's features. The unit has 4 GB of onboard storage and comes loaded with loops and samples. You can load up your own custom samples via SD card or USB. It has a 7-inch touch screen that allows you to edit and chop samples. There's also 16 velocity and pressure sensitive pads for programming beats and playing your songs. It includes instruments such as electric tube synth, bassline, and air FX mastering processors. It also has the option to plug in USB devices directly into the unit for DAW-less recording of vocals and instruments. This unit includes MPC drum and key group engine enhancements, such as the AKAI Pro Sample Tail, dedicated pitch envelope, and key group portamento. It also has drum pad effects that include ring mod, bit crush, and disseminator. A USB controller input allows you to play sounds with your keyboard controllers or other controllers. The unit includes 8 CV gate outputs for controlling modular synthesizers, and it has MIDI in and out ports for integrating and controlling synthesizers, drum machines, and other hardware. The unit has stereo line level inputs and outputs on 1/4-inch TRS connections and includes a single USB-A port for thumb drives or other control surfaces. It's compatible with the MPC desktop software application, and you can connect and route all of your MIDI gear in your studio, including class-compliant USB keyboards, MIDI interfaces, and USB devices to CV modules, supercharging your in and out capability. Now, we'll look at a high-level summary of the AKAI MPC One's top and rear panels. Again, this is a summary. We're going to go into details on exactly what each one of these user interface components do in a later presentation. Let's start with the top panel and the 7-inch multi-touch display. This is a full-color multi-touch display that shows information relevant to the MPC One's current operation. This is a very clear and responsive display. I really like it. It presents everything very, very well for me. To the right, we have the 4 Q-Link knobs. You use these touch-sensitive knobs to adjust various parameters and settings. The knobs can control one column of parameters at a time. The lights above the Q-Link knobs indicate the currently selected column, and you can press the Q-Link button to change which column of parameters they currently control. Let's go over to the left and move down to the 16 velocity sensitive pads. These pads are used to trigger drum hits and or other samples in the unit, or externally if you want. The pads are velocity sensitive and pressure sensitive, which makes them pretty responsive. The pads will light up different colors depending upon how hard you play them. Now this is the range of colors are from yellow at a low velocity to red at the highest velocity. You can also customize these colors. Moving over to the right, we have the large rotary encoder knob for navigation, or also known as the data dial. This is used to scroll through the available menu options or to adjust the parameter values of the selected field in the display. Pressing the dial also functions as an enter button. Let's then move down to the rear panel of the unit. First, we have our monitor volume over to the left and bottom. Then moving over, we have our stereo 1/4-inch input and outputs. Next, we have our recording volume, or some might refer to this as the gain. After that, below you have your MIDI in and out ports, and above that you have your 4 TRS CV gate jacks. And then we also have a little lock here by the AKAI logo that lets you secure the unit to a table or desk. And what follows that, we have our USB-A and USB ports. And we have a network connectivity port. This is an Ethernet port, so you can wire an Ethernet cable from there directly to a port on your router or switch. And last but not least is your input for adapter, or I shouldn't say last, but the last thing we then have is your power button all the way over to the right. Finally, we'll summarize my AKAI MPC One studio setup along with how I use it. The music composition station in my studio is sequencer based, and it's designed for my workflow and allows me to easily record my ideas using a variety of instruments and sound modules. First, let's look at my configuration. My MPC One is connected to my MIDI patch bay via its MIDI in and out ports. This allows all other MIDI units in my studio to communicate back and forth with the MPC One. This also includes my first generation Tascam DP24 MIDI units. The key to flexibility for me when it comes to MIDI with this unit is the USB-A port. This is a MIDI USB port. Now I purchased and connected a powered USB 8-port hub to extend this port. With the additional 8 USB-A ports provided using the hub, I then connected other units that include USB MIDI functionality. This includes my AKAI MPK88 MIDI keyboard controller, my Roland Integra 7 sound module, my Alesis Strike sound module and drum kit, and my Morningstar MC6 programmable MIDI foot controller. I also connected a 1 GB solid state drive for additional storage space. Now, when you connect a USB MIDI device to the MPC One, it automatically recognizes that device. Afterwards, you can then configure that MIDI unit according to your needs. The MPC One's stereo 1/4 inch outputs are connected to the inputs of my main mixing console. To start, I create a sequence or section on the MPC One to work in. I then add a new track and configure the parameters for a MIDI device that I want to control. That is a MIDI keyboard, MIDI drums, and then I record a MIDI sequence for the track. I use the AKAI MPK88 MIDI keyboard controller to record all of my keyboard parts. This unit can be configured to control any MIDI keyboard or sound module in my studio via my MIDI patch bay. Now, I can also assign a sequence track to trigger and play any of the onboard samples on the AKAI MPC One. I continue this process until all the tracks required are completed. I use the Morningstar MC6 programmable MIDI controller to play, stop, reset, and initiate recording using my foot for hands-free operation. Once I'm happy with a sequence part section, I can then copy and modify it or create a brand new one to record music in. After I've built up a collection of sequences, I can then connect these parts or sections in any order I wish to create a song. This allows me the flexibility to create several different versions of a specific song or instrumental score. I can then record or move my final composition tracks to my Tascam DP24 for additional recording, production, and mastering. In summary, in this presentation, I haven't even scratched the surface of what the AKAI MPC One can really do. We'll go into much more detail in the future presentations about this unit, so stay tuned. Now, if you create and produce rap and hip hop, I don't know if you can have a better platform than the MPC series of products. Its features, samples, and functionality and ease of use is off the charts, and it sounds awesome. At a retail price of $899 new, depending upon your perspective, it can be a bargain. I found my unit on eBay used for $600 in virtually new condition. For deals, I also suggest searching for a refurbished unit if you can find one. If you shop with patience, you should be able to find a great price on eBay or reverb.com. Now, I needed a super ultra external hardware sequencer sampler, and I got that and more with the MPC One. MPC One is one of the very best purchases I have ever made for my studio. Well, my friends, that's a wrap. If you like this presentation, please give it the thumbs up and click the subscribe button on your screen now to join our group. We have new presentations coming out every 7 to 14 days, and we would love to have you be a part of our team. Also, leave a comment in the comments section. Let us know what you think about this presentation. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Spotify. While you're here, listen to some of the other music on the channel and check out some of the other videos, especially in the playlist, because they're designed just for you. Thank you so much for stopping by. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you soon.